You wake before dawn, not to the sound of roosters or church bells, but to the memory of what waits for you today. 3 bodies, maybe 4 if the fever took another child overnight. Your hands still smell like yesterday's work. Soap doesn't reach deep enough to remove it. The scent of death lives under your fingernails, in the creases of your palms, soaked into skin that no amount of scrubbing can fully clean. You are a gravedigger. And in medieval Europe, that means you are something less than human in the eyes of almost everyone you meet. Your house sits at the edge of the village, as far from the church as possible, while still being close enough to the cemetery. No one wanted you closer. No one wants to live near the man who handles corpses. Your neighbors keep distance. Children are pulled away when you pass. You women cross themselves and look down. You dress in the same clothes you wore yesterday, the same clothes you wear every day. Dark wool, stained with soil and worse. There is no point in clean clothes. They would be ruined within an hour. You eat bread alone. Your wife died 3 years ago. Childbed fever. You dug her grave yourself because no one else would do it properly. No one else cared enough. The walk to the church is short. The priest is already waiting. He does not greet you. He never does. He simply points to the corner of the churchyard where 2 bodies lie wrapped in rough cloth. A man and a woman. Husband and wife. The sweating sickness took them within a day of each other. He tells you where to dig. The north side. Away from consecrated ground. These 2 were poor. They cannot afford a spot near the church wall where the soil is softer and the location more prestigious. They get the hard ground at the edge where tree roots make digging brutal. You gather your tools. A spade, worn smooth by years of use. A pickaxe for when you hit roots or rocks. A rope for lowering bodies when you work alone, which is almost always. No one wants to help the gravedigger. The ground is cold and damp from last night's rain. This makes it slightly easier. Slightly. You drive the spade into the earth and begin. The first foot is manageable. Topsoil, relatively loose. The second foot is harder. Clay mixed with stones. Your shoulders burn. Your back aches. You're only 30, but your body feels 50. You dig and dig and dig. A grave must be deep enough that animals cannot reach the bodies, and deep enough that the smell does not rise and offend the living. 6 feet has become the standard in many places, though some graves are shallower when winter makes the ground impossible to penetrate. By midday, you are waist deep in the hole. Sweat soaks through your shirt despite the cold. Your hands blister where old calluses have worn thin. You hit a root as thick as your arm. The pickaxe bounces off. You swing again and again. Finally, it splits. You pull the pieces out and continue digging. You know these people. The husband worked leather. The wife sold eggs at market. You saw them twice a week for years. They never spoke to you. No one speaks to the gravedigger unless they must. But you knew their faces. You know everyone's face. You bury them all eventually. The grave is finally deep enough. You climb out, muscles trembling. The priest has left. He does not stay to watch this part. Too undignified, too close to death. You are alone with the bodies. You drag the first one to the edge of the grave. The man. He is wrapped in cloth, so thin you can see the outline of his face through it. His family could not afford better. You lower him as gently as you can, but there is no gentle way to drop a corpse 6 feet down. He lands with a sound that never gets easier to hear. The woman next. Lighter. You manage to lower her with the rope, placing her beside her husband. They died together. They are buried together. This is the only kindness you can offer. You begin filling the grave. This part is faster. Soil pours in, covering the bodies gradually. First their feet, then their legs, then their torsos. You pause when you reach their faces. This is always the moment that feels most final. Once you cover their faces, they are truly gone. You shovel faster. The grave fills. The mound of dirt beside it shrinks. By the time you finish, the sun is setting. You have been digging for 8 hours. Your payment will be 2 loaves of bread and a piece of salted pork. This is what a double grave earns. It is barely enough. But this is not the worst part of your work. The worst part comes when disease strikes. You remember the summer 4 years ago when flux swept through the village. Dysentery, violent and fast. People died faster than you could dig. The priest stopped trying to give proper burials. He just blessed the general area and left you to handle the rest. You dug a pit, not individual graves. One large pit. You worked for 3 days straight, barely sleeping, barely eating. Bodies were brought to the churchyard and left for you. Men, women, children. You stopped looking at their faces. You stopped thinking of them as people. They became weight, problems to solve, holes to fill. You laid them in rows when you could. When there were too many, you just placed them however they fit. The pit filled layer by layer, soil between each layer when you had time. When you did not have time, bodies touched bodies. The smell was unimaginable. It clung to everything. It invaded your dreams. By the end, 43 people were in that pit. You covered them with 6 feet of earth and collapsed beside the grave, too exhausted to move. No one thanked you. No one acknowledged what you had done. The village simply continued, lighter by 43 souls, and you returned to digging individual graves. Mokes, but plague pits are not the only horror. There are the other bodies, the ones no one talks about. Suicides cannot be buried in consecrated ground. The church forbids it. So they are buried at crossroads, or in the far corner of the cemetery, where nothing is blessed. You dig these graves at night, when no one will see. The priest tells you where. You dig, you bury. You do not ask questions. You remember the girl from last winter, 16, pregnant, unmarried. She hanged herself in her father's barn. Her family was destroyed by shame. You dug her grave at midnight, alone, by lamplight. You lowered her body into frozen ground. No prayers, no ceremony, just dirt covering sin. Then there are the executed, thieves, murderers, heretics. After their bodies are displayed as warnings, after the crows have had their turn, and you are called to remove what remains. Sometimes there is not much left to bury. Sometimes you are burying pieces. You do this work because someone must, because bodies cannot be left to rot in the open, because even in death, even in disgrace, something must be done with the flesh that remains. And the living hate you for it. Not openly. No one says it directly. But you feel it in every interaction. The way people step back when you approach. The way mothers shield their children's eyes. The way merchants serve you last if they serve you at all. You are contaminated, polluted. You touch death every day, and death is contagious. Not in the way disease is contagious, but in a spiritual sense. You are unlucky, cursed. Association with you might bring misfortune. So you eat alone, you drink alone. When you enter the tavern, a conversation stops. People leave coins on the table and move to different seats. The bartender pours your ale and slides it across the bar without getting close. You have not touched another living person in 3 years. Not since your wife died. No handshakes, no embraces, nothing. Human contact is not for you. You are the gravedigger. You belong to death, not life. And yet you continue. Every morning you wake. Every day you dig. Because the dead need burying, and you are the one who does it. Some days are easier than others. When you bury someone old, someone who lived a full life, it feels almost peaceful. You dig with something resembling contentment. They had their time. This is natural. This is right. Other days destroy you. Infants, children, young mothers. These graves are smaller but infinitely heavier. You dig slowly, quite unwilling to finish, knowing that once you fill this hole, a family's world has ended. You remember every child you have buried, their sizes, how light they were, how wrong it felt to place something so small into the ground. You remember the sound parents make when they watch, not quite crying, not quite screaming, something worse, something that has no name. You carry these sounds with you. They layer over each other year after year until your mind is full of grief that is not even yours. You absorb the village's pain, grave by grave, and there is nowhere to put it down. Sometimes you wonder if you are still alive, or if you died years ago, and this is your punishment. An eternity of digging. An eternity of being close to everyone in their final moment, while being utterly alone in every moment before that. But you do not stop. You cannot stop. Because if you stop, who will do this? Who will dig the graves? Who will handle the bodies no one else wants to touch? The work is necessary. Someone must do it. That someone is you. Winter is the worst season. The ground freezes solid. Digging becomes nearly impossible. You swing the pickaxe until your arms go numb. You chip away at frozen earth, inch by painful inch. Sometimes it takes 2 days to dig a single grave. And winter is when people die most. Cold, hunger, sickness. The bodies accumulate. Sometimes you must stack them in the church crypt until the ground thaws enough to bury them. The priest hates this. The smell is terrible. But there is no alternative. Spring brings relief, soft ground, easier digging. But spring also brings disease from the thaw. Bodies that were frozen begin to decay. New illnesses spread. The work never truly stops. It only changes. By the time you are 40, you have buried over 800 people. You know this because you keep count, not in writing. You cannot read or write, but in your head. Every grave is a mark. Every body is a number. 800 lives reduced to holes in the ground. You wonder if anyone will dig yours. Probably another gravedigger from a neighboring parish. Someone equally despised. Someone equally alone. You will be buried quickly, without ceremony, in the same ground where you buried so many others. This is your legacy. Not children, not property, not respect. Just holes in the earth and the knowledge that you did what needed doing when no one else would. So when you imagine medieval life, do not picture only knights and merchants and farmers. Picture the gravedigger, the man who lives at the edge of everything, who handles what everyone else refuses to touch, who witnesses every death and receives no recognition for the service he provides. Picture someone alone by necessity, doing work that is essential and despised in equal measure. Picture hands that smell like soil and decay. Picture a life spent in holes, covering the dead, climbing out and digging again. That is a medieval gravedigger. Not a monster, not a hero. A person doing necessary work in a world that needs him but refuses to acknowledge his humanity. And somehow, Despite everything, he keeps digging.